Three more games left for you to complete the quarter-final lineup. All four of the top seeds have been knocked out of the International Darts Open before the quarter-final stages. Peter Wright was knocked out yesterday, but he's been joined by the number 2, 3 and 4 seeds, Mensur Suljovic, Ian White and Johnny Clayton, the only guys left in the field to have won a Euro Tour this year. We will have a new winner for this year on the European Tour. We could well have a first-time winner on the Euro Tour since its creation in 2012. I'm digging back through the record books. I cannot remember a case where the top 4 seeds have all gone out before the quarter-final stages. It is wide open. Who is going to take advantage? Despite the top 4 seeds not being involved already, this is a clash of former world champions. It is not as if there is a lack of quality on show here in Riesa at the Saxon Arena, as Adrian Lewis, the 2-time world champion, takes on the bullet Stephen Bunting, a 2-time world master and former Lakeside winner. I'm Dan Dawson, Paul Nicholson alongside me, as 2 world champs go head-to-head.
Game on.
Could this be the day where Jackpot gets himself back in the winner's circle?
It could well be.
I'd be really interested to see
120
as Adrian Lewis does a Danny.
Noppet, that is.
Yes. Be interested to see, when we've looked at the statistics over the next hour or so, when the last time was.
59.
Well, I've gone back. It certainly didn't. It hasn't happened this year. Certainly didn't happen last year, where it was Van Gerwen, Wright, and Michael Smith who won them all. It didn't happen in 2016. I thought maybe Alan Norris and Jelle Klaassen, but that wasn't the case. I thought maybe it could be that incredible year in 2014 where we had 8 different winners from 8 events. But no. For example, Vincent van der Voort, Jamie Caven, that final. Jamie Caven beat Phil Taylor, who was the number 4 seed in the quarterfinals.
What about the very first one?
The very first one in Austria. I haven't managed to dig through. I haven't got back that
far. We're going further back, and the further back we go, the more we're into Adrian Lewis's wheelhouse as to when he was one of the best in the world, arguably the best in the world.
Well, Adrian Lewis, of course, did win one in 2012, the first year of the European Tour, beat Ian White in the All-Stoke final. We will not see that again this weekend because the diamond was dumped out by James Richardson. Jackpot. It would be a very jackpot finish to go for this. I don't think he will. Double 12 it is.
113.
Good effort considering he had to readjust the dart. He almost stabbed his leg, didn't he? That's a dart play. I've done that a few times. It's not nice.
59.
Keep control of your darts in your opposing hand, your non-throwing hand. Double 6. Very good from Adrian Lewis. That's pretty ominous, because this time last week when he was embroiled in a very interesting game with Josh Payne, where Josh had him and
59.
Adrian nicked it at the end. Adrian didn't play his greatest game that he's ever played, and then he played Ian White later on and Ian just schooled him.
He did. Well, he'd been riding his luck that weekend. People are missing match darts against him left, right and centre, and I don't think this month
95.
we've seen anything particularly special from Adrian Lewis, despite the fact he has been having deep runs. It was earlier on in the year, before the summer break, where Adrian Lewis was fantastic, and this is pretty good from Bunting.
171.
But if you look at the Euro Tours, Adrian Lewis, final in Gibraltar, semi-final in Copenhagen, quarter-final in Hildesheim, quarter-final in Maastricht, and if he wins this, it's another quarter-final. That is some run from Adrian Lewis.
Consistency. It's
well,
good.
Consistency in results, if not in performances, because this month I don't think it's been particularly good. We haven't seen those big ton plus averages we saw from him, say, in Gibraltar. You know all too well about that, Paul.
Yeah.
Played him in the semi-finals.
Thing is, though, he's doing things that are very workmanlike.
134.
He's climbing the ladder one step at a time to get himself back towards the top 10. It's so admirable, because he could have folded.
Well, look, you go back to Adrian Lewis, the young dart player, who had all the talent in the world, and he was accused of not grinding out results. Well, he has been grinding out results over the last few weeks. Earlier on in the year, he was blowing people off the board with some magnificent displays, but he's been grinding it out. Treble 17. This would be vintage jackpot.
2 big finishes now. He's missed on
Stephen, you require 146.
on the 3rd ball of the over.
Well, this is a leg where Bunting threw a 171 and he's still struggling to keep pace with Adrian Lewis here.
Require 20.
Adrian looks rather hungry to me. Is that awkward? This isn't awkward, but it's still a hard double to hit
15.
under pressure.
Stephen, you
And he's
require
disgusted.
50.
50 needed. Bull for the bullet, but he'll go 18 double 16.
$34.
Keep saying it.
Adrian, you require 5.
I'm much more confident when he's looking at tops and tens because that double 16's a long way away for him.
Double 2.
Oh dear.
Left or right? Pick one and go with it.
3.
Went left, but too much juice. If he'd have gone right with that same
16.
way it was in.
Well, he moved right and went the left-hand side of it. So
he pulled it.
yeah, I think that suggests that he was looking at a different part of the bed.
He's on the second leg.
Stephen was definitely looking at that one.
Third leg, Adrian to throw first. Game on.
Well, Stephen Bunting, the former world champion, the last time he beat Adrian Lewis was
100.
2.5 years ago. It was the day that Stephen Bunting claimed his second and, as we stand, most recent PDC title. He beat Adrian Lewis 6-5 and he beat Michael van Gerwen in the final.
60.
That was how long ago?
2.5 years.
Time flies when you're throwing a dart. Quite an interesting list of people who have got massive titles in their bag, but they don't have a great deal of PDC titles in the bag. The most amazing
59.
one to me is Mark Webster.
Well,
He's got the Lakeside Championship, which he won over 10 years ago, has one title.
it's bizarre, isn't it, with Webby? And, you know, he's a man who finished
82.
3rd at the World Championship. He's a major finalist in the PDC as well.
I know when Mark gets back into form, he's actually not playing that badly at the minute.
No, he's winning games again.
I
Great
reckon another win for him's just around the corner.
Adrian require 139.
Because he played decent this year,
Yeah.
but Stephen's only got 2. You would expect him to have won more than that in the last few years. But it's just very, very
59.
difficult.
Well, particularly after the first year he had in the PDC, where he won almost immediately since moving over, and everything was fantastic for Stephen Bunting in that first year. And that's pretty good as well. 180 number 1 for Bunting, leaves him 62. Jackpot could go tops. This is old jackpots. Vintage jackpot.
Stephen to throw first.
Wow.
Game on.
In this kind of game, against this kind of opponent, with all of these people watching in this hall and you at home, he's got the audacity to go and do something like that. And I can think of only 3 players who do that on a regular basis. Adrian, Gary Anderson, and Richard North.
66.
Ah, Northy. Esteemed company.
Richard North, the best piano player in darts.
Yeah, honestly, that is. I did not expect to learn that on the European Tour. The boy is a ridiculously skilled
100.
musician.
He walked into the Pro Tour in Barnsley last week and said, "All right, Liberace."
Did he know who Liberace was?
Not
No.
a clue.
He's like one of those savants
60.
who have God-given gifts for certain things, but absolutely useless in the vast majority of other things.
Yeah, I think Northie's more of a Barry Manilow kind of guy.
Well,
A bit more cocktail lounge.
97.
Can't imagine Northie in a cocktail lounge. I'd imagine him on the hockey though.
Serious player, semi-finalist on the Euro Tour this year already, Richard North.
57.
Haven't seen him threaten to put a run like that together in the back end of the year. One more Euro Tour left in Göttingen.
130. 36.
Getting back into this game, Stephen Bunting.
Great darts from Stephen Bunting there.
Says he's playing the best stuff of his life, Stephen Bunting. And that
96.
an incredible
Stephen,
statement for a man who has won what he has won. Treble 19. Oh, no need to do it. Oh, we're getting the nod from our stats man, Robert Malarkey, who has just trolled through the record books and does not believe we have seen the top 4 seeds go out on a European Tour weekend before the quarterfinals before. This is a first on the Euro Tour. You thought last weekend was bonkers with how the draw opened
94.
up. This
36.
may be just as bonkers.
Welcome to the darting twilight zone.
That's
That's very regular indeed.
2-2. Game on.
And the bright side for Lewis is that he still has the throw.
Both of these guys averaged mid-90s in their second round games. They're both seeded players.
140.
Adrian, of course, the highest seeded player left in the tournament now. Simon Whitlock, the number 6 seed. Darren Webster, the number 10 seed, both in the quarterfinals. We've got Gurney and Price, seeds 8 and 9, going up against each other. One of them will go out of the tournament, and 2 unseeded players in Ryan Searle and Martin Schindler to round things off this afternoon. Martin Schindler not a seed, but my word, he's going to get some support.
Oh yeah, and here he's going to get some support when he hits stuff like that. I'm intrigued by the next game, Dan. Gurney and Price. I think there may be a little bit of stuff going on up there.
They freshened up the Premier League this year. Gurney was excellent throughout. Gerwin obviously didn't have a great time of it, but I would not be surprised to see Gerwin Price have another crack at the Premier League
81
over the next 3 or 4 years. I think he's going to have to do something seriously good the back end of this year to get in again next year, but he's got the game, and we may well see it come out this afternoon. Stephen Bunting gets down to a finish. Could be another tops finish here, you know. I don't think he will now. No, he didn't. I think it was the right decision. He just didn't execute it correctly.
Absolutely the right thing to do, because the last thing you want to do is miss the board there.
Stephen, you require 161.
Well, 180, 161 out for a break of throw and a 3-2 lead would be absolutely savage. But this man has been a master of the world on 2 occasions.
It's a good nickname, isn't it? Master of the world.
90.
Lewis will be livid that he hasn't left a double after being on 100. So now he's got 2 shots at double top. Only needs 1. He's deadly on that double today. Well, Stephen, if you want any advice from us, and far be it for us to say that you need advice from the commentators, but don't allow Lewis shots at tops.
75.
And that's just flat out bad luck.
It's not a bad plan. They have had a lot of close games, these two, in the past. The one that Bunting won 2.5 years ago went 6-5. The only other ranking win he's had against Adrian Lewis was 6-5 as well. And Lewis has hit 3 maximums now. They met in the World Series back in 2015. That was 10-9 to Lewis. They're no stranger to games going the distance.
Throwing those darts with
60.
some sort of purpose at the minute. Adrian Lewis has nothing been left behind.
Well, I mean, he was throwing those darts as if he thought, if I throw them hard enough, they will go through the previous ones into the treble 20. I'm not sure it's a great plan.
Well, Stephen Bunting's probably the only guy that I know who throws darts who was able to do what he just did. Throw at a flat dart and get it flatter, but the point's in above the other dart. He's a wizard.
81.
Well, he does. There's nobody in PDC darts who throws equipment quite like Bunting's, because they are only 12 grams, which... Have you ever tried throwing Bunting's darts?
Yeah, I did a couple of times. Gave them back rather quickly.
Yeah. I mean, just the sheer velocity you have to throw a very light dart like that to keep it on the straight and narrow is... I mean, it's a wonder.
Well, Dennis Priestley used to use a 14-gram dart,
52.
but he used to throw it with a cupped hand and just float it through the air. Stephen throws them very swift indeed.
Yeah, they're spat out. That right hand of the Scouser.
60.
Tops again.
Adrian, you require 80.
Well, why not?
Not this time. Got to go over the top.
40.
And he did have a shot at tops, at this time he misses.
92.
So why go for it earlier and not now? Because on both occasions, Bunting was on a 2-dart checkout.
As we say in Northumberland, a divinar.
60.
Stephen will be
Adrian, you require
really,
40.
really disappointed not to hit that. Double 10 for jackpot. And that's in. 2-leg gap is back. Opened that up earlier in the match.
7-leg.
That break throw
first. Game on.
is something that Stephen didn't want to see.
Well, the most recent meeting between them was in Copenhagen when Adrian Lewis won that one 6-4 at this stage of the tournament. Adrian Lewis then went on in Denmark to make the semi-finals, and he was very, very close to making the final. It was only Mensur Suljevic, the eventual champion, who beat Adrian Lewis in a last leg decider. He was playing fantastically before that summer break, and it felt like it might be the time for Adrian to go and claim another title, and it has been a long while between drinks. We talk about Stephen Bunting having a 2.5-year wait since titles. Adrian Lewis hasn't won since Milton Keynes last year, so it is well over a year now that Adrian Lewis has gone without a title.
99.
Well, Adrian got his calculator wired the wrong type there, because he went for the bull thinking that 25 was going to leave 164 or 167. It didn't.
The failing of maths be jackpot's undoing in this leg. Maybe in this match, this tournament. Suspicious glance.
That was a Columbo glance, that one. Was it you? Will it be Stephen? It won't be Stephen. So will it be Adrian Lewis with the dart on the oche?
60. Adrian, you require 68.
Treble 20 for double 4. Will it be clinical on this visit?
64.
And it's an over adjustment on the third dart. I don't think Stephen's going to go top stops.
I wouldn't have thought so. He'll have to go 25 in bull now. Oh, bullet. And then he's hit the 14 as well, and that was a dart thrown in anger.
If Adrian saw that, he should be able to feed off it. The Richie Edhouse.
2.
And that dart thrown in anger by Stephen Bunting has cost him a dart at double. And sometimes the trickiest bit about this can be hitting a single number. Surrounded by places where he could have bust, but he does get his darts at double.
7.
And that extra dart at double that he might have had he not missed the big number, throwing that angry dart, could well spell curtains for Bunting.
Double 1. This is what he hit to win the Auckland Darts Masters. And he's hit the same double for that leg, which could be massive. Big hill to climb for Bunting now. Remember that game against Barneveld in Auckland? That was mad.
Well, it was fantastic quality all the way through, and then they got to the very last knockings, and they both forgot how to hit a double. And Adrian Lewis managed to pick up today his only World Series title.
43.
In the Madhouse. And such has been his slide down the rankings. He's not been involved in the World Series this year. Not been involved in the Premier League this year. He's been forced to go back and battle his way back up. And he did jump into the top 16 in the world. He slid back out. It's the nature of the rankings. There's money coming off every week. So even when you're playing well, you can slide out. But he's just at number 16 now in the world rankings. And this weekend looks set to make sure that he stays there and potentially rises.
I think not being involved in the World Series is a blessing, giving him an opportunity to focus on ranked events to get himself back up the ladder.
59.
And playing a little less as well for Adrian is a good thing. He can spend a bit more time with family and get into a routine. Because there was a point, in my opinion, where he was playing way too much. Wasn't taking breaks, was playing every event he was in, and he looked flat. And when he's flat,
43.
he tends to get a little bit jittery and a little anxious. This is how we want to watch Adrian Lewis. Bish, bash, bosh. Easy does it, get the job done type of stuff.
Well, of course, it is about maintaining a balance.
85.
And Adrian Lewis this year has looked so much better. It's been so good to watch him as he battles his way back up the rankings and back towards winning titles again. And double 10 would have put him in the quarterfinals again.
Stephen, you require 130.
The Bullets' last visit was thrown in a manner that suggests he felt the game had gone. Has it?
Look of resignation from the Bullets.
20.
It's double 10 for 80. The highest ranked player left in the tournament is still there. He's going through to the quarter.